WSO2 Micro Integrator is an open source, popular integration product. It was previously called WSO2 Enterprise Integrator, even before it was called WSO2 Enterprise Service Bus. WSO2 provides an Eclipse-based integrated development environment called Integration Studio to develop integration flows. So you can download that Integration Studio from WSO2 website from product section. If you just click WSO2 Micro Integrator, and then under the download section, you can download the Integration Studio as well as the runtime as a zip archive binary. And this has been working great, and developers could develop integration flows using a low-code designer, as well as also switch to an XML-based source code view of that low-code view as well. So that XML is a domain-specific language which powers the WSO2 Micro Integrator's integration engine, named the Synapse, which is the DSL, and it's based on the Apache Synapse open source project as well. Recently, WSO2 has been working on a development environment based on the VSCode, Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code undoubtedly is an ubiquitous development environment. It has become sort of the de facto for developing applications in a cross-platform manner in various different programming languages. So it only makes sense for WS to develop a plugin to develop integration flows using VS Code. So let's go to extension section and type in WSO2 Micro Integrator. If you just type in that, you will see this section called Micro Integrator, which has a pre-release version, which means this particular plugin is not yet in version 1.0, and you can obviously see it's in version 0.9. So let's install it anyway. And I have tried this out previously, and it works great for the most part. And of course, because it's a pre-release version, some issues are expected as well, and it's probable that you might run into some issues when using it, but for the most part it works really great. So once you have this thing installed, you will see this new icon popping up, in which from which you can create new projects. You can open micro integrator projects, regardless whether you have some projects that you have created in the integration studio as well, and the VS Code plugin will attempt to migrate the integration studio specific project to VS Code specific projects. So let's first try that, because that might probably be the most natural step, because it's likely that you might be having some projects already. To demonstrate that workflow, I'll choose the most simplest of samples. You can also see those samples here, exactly the same set of samples like in the integration studio. So I'll use this one, and let's say I'll use the name hello service and click finish. And if you look at this sample, and you get a set of guidelines on how to run this thing in Integration Studio. So for the completion of this tutorial, I'll just show you how to run it in Integration Studio. You just have to right click the composite archive project and click export project artifacts and run. This should bring up the embedded micro integrator runtime, and you also see the details of your service as well. So let me copy this thing. This is the URL of your service, and it's the get call, and I'm going to use the curl client to execute this, and of course you're getting hello world as the response. So I'm gonna stop this thing now and open the same project using the VS Code, and let's click open in my project, And by default, Integration Studio saves the projects in your home folder, and under that you will find Integration Studio folder, and then the version number and the workspace. There'll probably be multiple other projects. So I just created this hello service project. So just let's open it. So of course I trust the authors. So once you open the project, you will be seeing this particular page saying migrate project, and this is because you're opening an unsupported project type, because the project structure in Integration Studio and the project structure in the VS Code plugin is a little different. But it is smart enough to understand the older structure and migrate it to the newer one. So let's click that one, and that should bring your older one quite fast. So right, so now to build this thing, you just have to click build. So once you click build, if you're doing this for the first time, it's going to ask you for you to add a server. So I have already configured that server because I did this thing multiple times. It's probably getting that configuration from somewhere, and it will start building it. And to for you to build this thing, you should have Maven installed in your machine, all that, right? And then I'm going to run it, and when you run it, and it's going to pick up your configured server. In my case, I have a server under my home folder under the project files and WSO2 Micro Integrator VSCode, and I have this particular binary file downloaded and extracted. So I have given that for you. When you do that thing for the first time, you're gonna get this thing, and you can also do it later on as well. If you just click on Command Shift P, and then if you just say add server, something like that, yeah, add MI server. When you click this thing, you will be able to configure this particular path, and once you do that thing, subsequently you can use that particular runtime location to deploy your artifacts. So in my case now it is running, and of course if I run this again, you should get the response. Of course it's not running in the Integration Studio, and that is a good example to say it is running here, and you can stop the server from here as well. So that's how quickly you can import and migrate a project from Integration Studio to VS Code plugin. So that's about importation, and when you have a complex project, it's likely that things will be a little more complex, and however you can easily get it resolved as well. So let's create a new project, and it's going to be quite easy as well. So let me close that and open a new window and go to this particular icon, create a new project. I'm going to say XML JSON converter, right? And I'm going to select a location and give this location. I think I already have a project there, so let's choose some other place. I'm going to use test this location and create a project. And once you are there, of course you can use plus under the API section, endpoint sequences. You can create those things, and it's going to greet you with a nice design view as well. I didn't show that in the previous demonstration, but I'll show it here. But one thing that might catch your eye is this section, describe your integration to generate with AI. So this is a GitHub Copilot powered artifact generation. You can just type in, say, create an API that converts an XML to JSON. And once you click create, and if you're doing this for the first time, it's going to ask you for a GitHub Copilot account. I have a Copilot account, and I have configured that, so it's likely that it might right away generate it. Otherwise, you will see at this point to sign into GitHub and configure your Copilot. Now see, it has already generated, and this particular XML seems to be quite correct, which I have tested previously. And let's do that again. So I'll just use add to project, and it's going to add that to the project, and it's that easy. And of course, once you click this thing, double click it, you're gonna get a design view, and you can also look at the source view as well, the same source that the GitHub Copilot AI generated for you. And this is really great. And now I'm gonna run this thing, and of course you can also do various other things. You can add more. Let's say, let me add a new log, for example. Let's say I'm gonna say current body, and under the property section you can write an expression, and to print out the you can do context body and submit, and this should add the log. So now let's run this thing. So it's going to build the project and deploy it in my micro integrator, and here you go, you have it. And let's run this thing. In this my test folder, I have a sample XML already. So this sample XML is what I'm going to convert to JSON. And let's use this curl request to convert. As you can see, I'm sending my XML. This is just curl's syntax of how you send an XML using a file. And I'm also sending a header called content type with application XML. And I need to use XML to JSON, because if I just go to my source code, you see convert as my template, but XML to JSON, which needs to be matching here. So when I run this, as you can see, that XML got converted into JSON, and that test XML, which we saw here, test and name, is what gets returned in a default manner in the JSON format. And yeah, and at the same time, the log, the current body that I just printed out, is getting printed here as well. So likewise, you can keep adding various other things. I'm not going to demonstrate it, but you get the idea. I'm going to close this. Add more mediators are there. Connectors you can add. For example, all the connectors that are available, that were available in the previous Integration Studio, is available here in VSCode as well. So these connectors, this is one advantage in the VSCode, and in the previous Integration Studio's case, you will have to download these connectors separately, most probably separately from the connector store, and import it into the integration project, and then also create something called a connector exporter project in the Integration Studio. If you just go here, you will see, once you right click here, you will see these connector exporter projects, all that. So VS Code plugin makes all that process much more leaner, lighter, and easier. And I'm very certain that Integration Studio, VS Code tool will overtake the Integration Studio tool, and both of those tools will likely to be supported for some time, and Visual Studio plugin seems to be the future for me. Anyway, I would recommend you to play around this pre-release version of the plugin, and when the final version is available, there'll be more support coming in here. And obviously, any issues that you come across, you can also report it in the relevant GitHub repositories and so forth. And with that, I will wrap this edition of the video, and I'll see you in another video like this. And please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this, and also hit the bell button to get notifications. See you again. Take care. Bye.